leaders of the committees of KHF. What I also want to inform you is that Judy has kindly also agreed to co-sponsor our next members meeting, which is on 27th or 28th of July. And during that meeting, she will make the presentation for the our members and other partners who normally attend our non-AGM meetings. So for today, don't worry, those of you who are online, please just follow the presentation that Judy is going to make. But we will have, this will be a culmination to the meeting where we would like to do a clarion call for our members to sign up to the UN Global Compact, which KHF, as you will see today, we will be receiving our membership certificate. We know some of our members like MedSource is already signed up. Metropolitan is finalizing the process, but we would like as many of our members as possible to join the compact because of the benefits of what it brings, and also because we stand for ethical business practices. So without further ado, and of course acknowledging the KHF board chair who is present here with us. Also we have Mr. Vinod Guptan, who is the KHF board director, and also leading the KHF supply chain, just to recognize them, and also the members that are present. So I would like to, before I welcome Dr. Judy, that's what we do in health, so don't worry about the titles, to come and address us. I'd also want to inform you that immediately after her presentations, lunch is served. Lunch is already served, but just to ensure that we don't have us moving in and out during her presentation, I'd like to welcome her to come and make her presentation, and then we can have a short Q&A, and then we proceed to the AGM will start at 2 o'clock on the dot. So for those of you only joining for the AGM, 2 o'clock on the dot will start. So we're also tallying the members who are joining both online and physical at Upper Hill, Radisson Blu. So karibu sana Judy, and we're looking forward to your presentation.
So good afternoon, everyone. And it's really a pleasure being with you this afternoon. Allow me to start off by acknowledging the leadership of KHF, led by Dr. Gakombe, Vinod, who's here, the committee members, Dr. Nyalita. We really appreciate you inviting us to have this discussion with the leadership team, and the subsequent one that we will have with your general membership and stakeholders. So for me, the assignment here is very simple. We wanted to just take the opportunity to formally introduce who the UN Global Compact is, and also appraise you on how you can join individually as signatories to really work collectively, to deliver this particular objective around ensuring that we are leaving the world a better place. So without much further ado, I have a presentation that I'll guide you through. As introduced, I'm Judy Njino, the Executive Director of the Global Compact Network here in Kenya. The local network is the country network of the United Nations Global Compact that's supporting in-country signatories to advance responsible business conduct. We are present in over 70 countries across the globe, but here in Kenya, we've been around since 2005. So I'll take you through this presentation outline just to introduce the initiative, the 10 principles and the SDGs, which are really the framework around which we try to galvanize business action on corporate sustainability, the support that we offer private sector, and then how to go about joining a very practical, discussion on how to actually achieve that. All right, next slide, please. So just to introduce the UN Global Compact formally, The initiative was first proposed in the year 1990 by the former UN Secretary General, Dr. Kofi Annan. And he was basically speaking to, business leaders across the globe who had gathered at the World Economic Forum in Davos. And he made a proposition to the business leaders in a room such as this one. And he said, can we, the United Nations, and you, the business community, can we come together, to advance shared values as anchored in the UN? And so out of that particular speech that he made, the UN Global Compact as an initiative was born. Next slide, please. And that was in the year 2000. And since then, it's grown to be the world's largest corporate sustainability initiative, with close to 16,000 participating businesses across the globe. And because we are a business-led organization, we are also multi-stakeholder in nature, meaning we do appreciate that other sectors have a critical role to play in helping us deliver on the sustainable development agenda. Of course, appreciating that a lot of these efforts were driven by, governments previously, but we are now saying that the business community, as drivers of commerce, drivers of innovation, job creation, they can have an outsized impact on those development outcomes that we seek. So we do have 3,800 of these participants from the non-business sector, and they range from the academia, labor organizations, NGOs, civil society organizations. So our participants are spread across the globe in over 160 countries. And we do have in-country 70 local networks or country networks that have been launched to really support the in-country signatories to contextualize what corporate sustainability means within that particular local context. We have 87 million employees that are within this global compact participating companies. And this helps you to see the depth and the scale with which we actually influence people. So if we have, good corporate citizens, and I think Dr. Kakombe, you alluded to this with the example that you just gave with Metropolitan, ensuring that your people, are able to actually own something for themselves, land, which is critical, and to have something that they can be able to, basically advance their own personal goals, but of course, using the power of business to support such aspirations. That's what we are talking about in practical terms. Next slide. So the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact really are the framework around which we mobilize business action for. They are summarized around 4 key issue areas touching on human rights, the environment, labor, and anti-corruption. And they pretty much summarize what corporate sustainability or what corporate responsibility is. They are the fundamental or the baseline responsibilities that for any organization or business out there that claims to be, responsible. These are the things that you need to pay attention to. And if you read them principle by principle, they're actually common sense things that we are asking the private sector to do. But over and above, we're asking you to go beyond what is written in law, because some of these principles are firmly anchored in national legislations and international commitments. They are also, anchored within universal conventions that we have, of course, signed off as countries. Kenya is a signatory to each and every one of these conventions. And a lot of them, you will see them being expressed in different legislations and other commitments from government. So this is what really we mobilize business action and commitments around, but more importantly, action around how this can be translated more practically in business strategy and procedures, and ultimately business culture. Next slide. So fast forward to 2015, we know the Sustainable Development Goals were launched, and these really were a set of framework or a blueprint, if you like, for our collective aspirations as humankind for the world that we would like to see by the year 2030. And they really summarize key issues that we are currently struggling with as a global business community. And as a global compact, we are saying that business have an important role to play in delivering on this ambitious agenda. Coming from the MDGs, the Millennium Development Goals, they were typically a government agenda, and we actually missed some of the targets because private sector was really not involved, and other stakeholder groups were not as heavily involved. And so when the SDGs were formulated, we were very deliberate in ensuring that the business community would bring the full force and the weight to deliver and to turn these challenges into business opportunities. So we look at these two, the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact and the SDGs, as twin agendas around which business, can really contribute to our vision of sustainable development by the year 2030. But it's also important to note that the SDGs are time bound. They expire in the next 8 years. We are not doing too well if you look at some of the goals, and I'll expose them later on. And so what we are asking and how we are trying to work with the private sector is really to accelerate our contributions, moving beyond just incremental, nice things that we are doing, but looking at also partnerships and sector, approaches to really scale and bring the impact ultimately to deliver on these goals by the year 2030. So the 10 principles for us are sort of like everlasting, they're timeless. They will continue to remain as those fundamental responsibilities that businesses must meet beyond even the expiration of the SDGs, or even should we articulate a new set of goals. Next slide. And the business community within the Global Compact family is already making a lot of progress. Since the initiative was launched in the year 2000, we conduct annual surveys, polling our CEOs to understand, what they think they're doing with regards to the commitments that they have made. And many of them are actually saying they're taking, action on the SDGs. 88% from this last year's report done by Accenture. And you can see in terms of the policies and the practices that are in place across the 10 principal areas, that's what the business leaders are telling us. But ultimately, they're also saying that our global and economic systems need to refocus on equitable growth. So we are seeing, of course, especially around this region, emerging economies, our economies are growing. Yes, we can see GDPs, are increasing in leaps and bounds, but the reality is that we are actually also experiencing widening inequality. So we are not actually lifting people out of poverty. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. So this is something that we need to correct, and we believe sustainability has the power to sort of like equalize some of the positive outcomes that are resulting from commerce, but ensuring that we have widespread benefits across different people within society, but as well as ensuring that the environment is equally protected. Next slide. So this is just a continuation to just show the level of progress that participants within the UN Global Compact are making across key metrics that we are tracking within the initiative. And we have identified a set of goals which we think businesses should have an outsized impact in delivering, because these are the goals that we are observing, tracking the SDGs, that we are actually at risk of not really achieving them by the year 2030. And so one of the, of course, and I think this is an ongoing conversation, we are already facing it even here, the climate crisis. As a global community, we are at risk of actually increasing the global temperatures to 3 degrees. And so we are trying to mobilize participants within the movement to ensure that they firmly contribute to targets that will at least halt the rise in global temperatures. So out of this, we have a particular program that we are galvanizing support and asking companies to commit and come with credible plans around which they can limit emissions from their own companies. So to date, we have 1,400 companies that have signed up to this particular initiative. And these are from really sensitive sectors that are high emitters. But we are also saying that we need a critical mass. We need governments to also provide the right signaling to help companies make the necessary transitions to ensure that we are growing our economies in a sustainable way. Gender equality, I think, is also one of those things that we continue to struggle with. Of course, the statistics don't look good. And so we are also saying that businesses have an equal responsibility to see what they can do to really close the gender gap within our lifetimes. We are also doing quite a bit of work around business innovation, looking at the SDGs as a business blueprint or a business plan that companies can also begin to innovate around some of the challenges. So we are working with a number of our signatory companies in country to also begin to see how they can translate the particular business goals to achieve some of the SDGs. Next slide. So despite all of these things, it's clear that we are still not on track to meet these goals by the year 2030. And I think that's why it's critical for us to have these conversations with organizations such as KHF, because we can only reverse a lot of the negative trends we are seeing through collective action. The 16,000 companies that we have in the UN Global Compact are just a drop in the ocean. So think about all the other businesses that are out there that continue to do business as usual. And so we are saying that despite all these efforts, despite the commitments that we already have, we still have a long way to go. And I think the slides pretty much paint a picture on a snapshot of some of the SDGs that we are currently tracking. But ultimately, we are saying the Social Progress Index estimates that we are 62 years behind, and this particular target continues to widen year on year. And as long as we are having also shocks like the pandemic and other things coming our way, the climate crisis, we risk really leaving a lot of people behind. Next slide. Next slide, please. So coming to the healthcare sector, and we really think it's an important and a central sector for which we need to have this conversation and bring a lot of you on board to really deliver some of the outcomes that we want to see within the Sustainable Development Agenda. I think you're best placed to tell us, what the impact of COVID did. You saw it firsthand. But ultimately, we know that it exposed how fragile our healthcare systems are and how interconnected some of these issues are to other things, our ability to, secure livelihoods and, the impact also on the ability for us to run our businesses. So this really was an exposition and I think a case study of why we need to pay attention and why this particular sector is so critical. But we see the SDGs as an excellent pathway or a framework around which we can help correct a lot of the things that we are seeing not working in our current systems. Next slide. And so, according to the World Health Organization, we've been able to articulate some strong building blocks around which we think we can be able to reform or, repurpose the healthcare system to ensure that we build sustainable and resilient, infrastructure that can really help withstand a lot of the shocks that we actually anticipate to experience more. And many of us know that COVID is probably, it was just a test. We don't know what else is coming our way. So we think that there's a lot of opportunities around some of these things to help us better manage and anticipate some of the challenges in a way that we can manage what could be coming our way in future, but also ensuring that no one is left behind at the end of the day. So for us, the outcomes that we will be seeking is that there's access. No one is being left behind, but there's also quality in terms of the kind of care that we provide, and more importantly, that it's affordable. And these are things I think present opportunities for us at the moment because there are issues that we are currently struggling with. Next slide. This is just a representation of how we see the Sustainable Development Goals coming into play and how ultimately we think they can provide sort of like the the injection to really build these strong, healthy, and sustainable healthcare systems. And we help you to unpack what it means practically, goal by goal, and how that translates to the healthcare system. And of course, all this has to be anchored through the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact, which, as I said, are really the consolidating or the galvanizing framework around responsible business conduct. So we are working with our sector participants around these particular issues and helping them to really translate practically what it means to deliver on the SDGs using that sector approach. Next slide. But having said all that, I think it's also important to note that the SDGs won't be delivered by chance. And we like to say that there's a method to the madness. Many of us are claiming that we are actually contributing to the goals in one way or another, and it's true we are, but in the way that we will actually deliver impact, we need to actually follow a specific methodology. And that's why Global Compact is critical and other sustainability initiatives, because then they show you how to do it in the right way and how to do it in a way that you don't also have negative externalities. And if we could just even give an example, the current race to really transition to green energy. We're having a lot of these renewable energy projects, and what we are also seeing is adverse impacts on communities. We're having examples of companies going to uproot whole rural communities so that they can, put up these wind farms. So while on the one hand, of course, you're addressing these issues around, green energy, on the other hand, you're also creating negative impacts on this end. And this is not the kind of, way or the way we want, businesses to contribute to the SDGs. We need you to have a holistic view of some of the issues that could arise and have mitigating plans around how you can actually deliver on this. So we do support you to understand the SDGs, taking the 10 principles as a key factor. And this really is the framework around which it will help you to stem a lot of the negative impacts from your good practices. And then we help you to prioritize. The SDGs are robust. The 17 goals, the 169 targets, not any company can claim to deliver on any one of them comprehensively. So it's important to see where you can plug in using your core strength. And so helping you to prioritize, and we have tools and resources that we take you through that process. Critically setting ambitious goals. So it's not enough to just say that we will do the small actions that we are seeing across the globe, but we are saying that we need to stretch our levels of ambition, we need to act at scale, and we need to also partner across sectors to really close the gap between now and 2030. And then embedding the SDGs into core business, and ultimately transparency and accountability, which is also an important piece because what doesn't get measured, doesn't get done. So it's critical that we also communicate and learn from a lot of the things that we are doing. Next slide. So we basically exist as a global compact to help business cut through the complexity. Sustainability, it's a complex concept, and there are very many, ways, there are standards, there are ideologies, but what we are saying is that we have a universal framework that helps you basically speak the same language, whether you're operating here in Kenya or you're in Turkey or whichever part of the world or whatever size of business that you operate. So the Global Compact does exist to walk you through and help you unpack what these issues are practically. Next slide. Right. So here in Kenya, as mentioned, we have been around since the year 2015. We are hosted by the Kenya Association of Manufacturers alongside KEPSA as well as FKE, because we are a business-led organization. Therefore, we seek to engage the wider private sector. And so we work collaboratively with these trade associations to also reach out to their membership because that's the only way we will be able to make progress. The Kenya network is the largest network in Africa as well as the Middle East region. And I think it's, again, a testament that the private sector in Kenya is really alive to a lot of these issues. I think we saw the president, co-hosting the Sustainable Ocean Conference with Portugal. And just the level of leadership we have actually taken around some of the issues that we're currently grappling with. Of course, we are top 8 even in contributing to green energy across the globe. So we always say that let's not leave Africa to be the continent where narratives around poverty, lacking exist. We need to lift the narrative and to really show that we are leading from the front, and we're leading with good things. But ultimately, a lot of these good things also have to translate to tangible outcomes for people and planet. Next slide. So I usually don't like to go into the business case because the reality is the business case for sustainability is settled. We are no longer in an era where we are debating whether it's a good thing to have or it's a good thing to do. We are experiencing it firsthand. But the reality is it improves all these business outcomes, as you can see there. And ultimately, it does drive greater profitability. It does lower the cost of capital. If you're in a sector or a business where you're also trying to attract investors, these are the questions that everybody is asking because nobody wants to deal with a corporate or an organization that is a risk. So everybody is looking out for themselves, and this would be the questions they would continuously ask. And remember, we are also in a global, community, so we can no longer just operate within the confines of the country here. We are also trying to see how we can expand beyond the region and beyond. Next slide, please. And within the Global Compact, as I mentioned, we do see CEOs saying they see value in sustainability. And these really are words coming from, corporate heads of large, leading companies across the globe. And they're telling us that, it does actually lead to some of these outcomes, such as brand increase, revenue growth, risk mitigation, cost reduction. And they see that into the future, sustainability will only become a strong imperative for how they actually, deliver some of those positive outcomes. Next slide. So where do we come in and what do we actually offer practically to businesses to be able to take on this journey? Because it's an abnormal conversation. The business of business has always been business, but it's no longer the case anymore. There's an expectation from your stakeholders to really pay attention and to deliver, wider positive outcomes beyond just making money and profitability. You have, employees, you have customers, you have communities who also have a stake in your business decisions as well as your business conduct. So for us at the Global Compact, both globally and in country, we provide you with best-in-class tools and resources to be able to translate these commitments practically into business action. We are also the platform where you can access partnerships with a range of stakeholders. Again, the issue of scale, the issue of collective action is critical to the work that we do. So you're able to also use the network and the movement to be able to identify other stakeholder groups that can speak the same language and basically abide by the same values that you do. It's also a global platform to showcase your company's sustainability ambition. We have a global reporting platform, but also a convening power that helps to expose a lot of the good practices. And I always tell my companies when we have those global forums, we have UNGA coming up in September. Let's see examples of more companies beyond Safaricom. And I think they're there in the healthcare sector. We are doing some very innovative, good things. I think I saw the example of the company that's actually manufacturing syringes and exporting. Why can't we also expose some of those case studies to the globe and we show that we are actually leading from the front in some of these things? So we call on you to take advantage of those platforms, and Anastasia, at least you will be able to also point us to some of those strong case studies. Again, networking opportunities similar to KHF and a number of other business associations. You can come and also engage, not just locally, but across the region and globally. And then, of course, it's the one platform that you can come to really advance your ESG competence. Next slide. So in brief, really, we offer the Global Compact as a platform where you can come to connect with industry peers and other stakeholders. You can come to learn, take a leadership role in a specific goal or a specific area, but more importantly, communicate, because when we communicate, then we are able to also inspire action beyond the four walls of our organization. And the 10 principles really are the galvanizing framework and the SDGs to do just this. Next slide. The next couple of slides just to provide you an example of what is available in terms of access to tools, resources, and support. We do offer guidance. We have a robust, extensive online library that provides you with all the different topical tools around ESG that you can open. Basically, it's unglobalcompact.org. You can go in there and extract a lot of these guidance tools. They are free, it's open source, so it's not just restricted to Global Compact participants, but it really just helps you to understand and translate those commitments more practically. Next slide. The tools is something that participating companies join actually the initiative to access. And we have tools that help you to understand your starting point. So if you're starting on your sustainability journey, it's critical that you do a basic assessment so that you know where you are at and where you need to go. So we do have a number of these across different topical issues. Next slide. And then our biggest seller is our Academy platform, which is our online learning platform that's accessible to only Global Compact participants. And once you are in the initiative, you're able to access a wide array of tools, topics, and issues that are actually expert-led and that help you to really translate your ESG commitments more practically. So you're able to also integrate it into your internal learning systems and use it to also ensure the entire business is aligned in terms of the learning outcomes that you wish to see. And we've also seen companies even using it as a performance improvement tool, or rather, something that employees can access to, again, improve on their learning outcomes around sustainability issues. Next slide. We do have working groups as well, which are small sort of like clusters of companies that they come together. So if you're interested in diving into a particular issue, you're able to connect into any one of these particular topics. And the beauty is that, especially for SMEs who might not necessarily know where to plug in or what to do, they're able to then get support from those who have gone, beyond in the journey. So it's one of the platforms that many of the members see a lot of value in. Next slide. And then our accelerators are really just programs that we have designed to help close the gaps that we are seeing in delivering on the SDGs by the year 2030. So we've identified specific SDGs that we think are at risk of not being achieved in the next 8 years. And we are working with the corporates who volunteered to partake these programs to really scale and to set ambitious targets so that they can translate these commitments more robustly within their business strategies. And we have upcoming ones around human rights and women's entrepreneurship in 2023. Next slide. Policy and advocacy is also a critical tool or avenue around which we also seek to mobilize, or rather to influence the ecosystem where business operates. And we keep saying that the efforts of one or two companies is good, but it's important that also government plays its part in signaling the right things that need to be seen within the business operating environment. And so we do have conversations and platforms with the key custodians of our 10 principles. And this is just a pictorial when we hosted the president in 2015. And we basically put forward the Bribery Act, which was a joint initiative with KEPSA and a few other corporate organizations. And we are basically saying that we actually own the problem of corruption in the country, and we are willing to work with the government to do our part as private sector. So for us, policy and advocacy is a critical part of our work, and just ensuring that we get everybody playing by the same rules. So as I come towards the end, really to join is simple. To join the initiative is quite straightforward. All it requires is a letter of commitment from the highest level executive, could be the CEO or the board members. And basically the reason why we insist on that leadership commitment is that we look at sustainability as a leadership issue. It's not CSR or philanthropy, as is always the expression, especially in this market. So when you join, basically you're saying that you're willing and you're ready to trigger some of those policy and procedure adjustments within business. And that can only be led, at the top level of the business leadership. But it also means you have to be willing to engage in continuous performance improvement. Again, appreciating that there's no one single company that is perfect. We are all on a journey, and it's important that we own that, but more importantly, that we are committed to improving. So if you're looking or tracking your water targets or your energy use, have a baseline and then have sort of like a roadmap to, again, push the level of ambition around some of those things. It means also being open to dialogue with your stakeholders. Corporate sustainability is all about how you're impacting both positively, but also mitigating some of the negative externalities. So we do encourage our participants to have these, open conversations with their stakeholders and to be able to also take a lot of this feedback in and make the necessary adjustments to drive those improvements. And last, it's also a commitment to, accountability and transparency. And we do have a public disclosure platform. I think the stock market, the NSE, the regulators are also signaling locally that it's now going to become mandatory for companies to begin to communicate the impacts of their performance just beyond the bottom line. We are seeing this with listed companies, but for Global Compact participants that have already been doing this, should this also translate to the wider private sector, it's important to also have that foresight to see where the world is going and to begin to act on some of these things. So the Global Compact also allows you to preempt where the world is going and what you need to do as a business. Next slide. So this is just the joining process. Basically, it takes, it's an application process that is conducted online, and you just need to upload your commitment letter and complete the online application form. Then we do the due diligence, and within a week or two, you're admitted into the initiative and attached to the country network where you have your operations. Next slide. So these are just a snapshot of the companies that we currently have within the network. These are companies representing every sector within the business community, also subsidiaries of multinationals that are currently active within the country. And we do also have a big base of SMEs, not just the large brands. Next slide. That are also working firmly to really advance, corporate sustainability. And you can see those who are within the healthcare sector also coming in strong. And so we hope that probably in the upcoming meeting, we'll also see more of you join in. And we believe collectively we can be able to transform sustainability and transform Kenya using sustainability as the vehicle and also as the framework to correct a lot of the negative, issues that we are currently seeing. Next slide. Yeah, so that brings me to the end of the presentation. And it's my hope that at least we have a fair understanding of the initiative, what value it offers the business community, and we look forward to your engagement in the coming days. Thank you.
Do you have any quick questions for Judy?
Can take some.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Especially. Thank you so much, Judy. I am very this afternoon. I know one of the highest levels of organization that I work for, the Masters of Kenya. Dr. Judy Collins is a member of the National Executive Committee, so I think I'll be honoring the board to share with her for the approval of that. My name is Bao Peter. So a quick one on that. Sustainability and the SDG on industrialization.
Yes.
So we are looking at the current conversation on pharmaceutical, local manufacturing of pharmaceutical. So are we going, if we join in, not joining in, it's not like if, it's not a condition. So we are joining in because Dr. Juliet is here. When we join in, once we join in,
Yes.
are we able to advocate for the local manufacturing of pharmaceuticals? Or even advocate for a bill that says the Kenya Essential Medicines is fully and solely manufactured in Kenya?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it makes sense. That's one of the things that we can do, and we need that sector leadership and using the platform within the Global Compact to really drive those conversations. So we would welcome any leadership around some of these issues and any others that you identify, but more critically to also expose within the region what we are seeing and why we think that also makes sense for us at the local, and why the government needs to support, such initiatives and the direction that you seek to take. Yeah.
Any questions? Right, thank you,
Good.
Judy. I know we are yet to receive. Very good. Are there any
Oh,
questions
online.
No questions online. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Super.
Good.
So I want to ask our chair to just make quick remarks as Judy prepares to hand over the KHF certificate. I'm very excited about that to the chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Good afternoon. This is a very good start to our 14th annual general meeting, because it's a great reminder that we have to look after planet Earth, that our businesses, our lives, our livelihoods are anchored on Earth. And when you look at world history, human progress comes when there is peace. And peace is only possible, sustainable peace, when there is equity. And equity is only possible if there is equitable development. So for me, this is a very, very good way to start our annual general meeting. It's a reminder to all of us who are in business that it is important that as we do what we do, we look after the resources that are ours to look after as stewards for the next and future generations. So thank you, Judy, for reminding us. We will join, as Metropolitan, which I lead, have joined, and we'll do our part to make sure that we build sustainable organizations and leave the world better for those who come after us. Asante. Vinod can receive, he's in supply chain, so he can. Okay, you support. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay.
You want the top again? I think so. Anna? You want the top again?
Yeah, I want it again. So lunch is served. I think as we wait for the, we're just tallying the numbers of the AGM. We have apologies from the KCM Secretariat. They're not able to come and make their presentation, so we can proceed with the AGM. The lunch is served, so this is the meantime. Yes, Chairman is just reminding me that I need to confirm that we have Sharon or someone from the company secretary, so KHF. We have them here online. They're outside, and the auditors. You can request them to come in. And the auditors as well, as we check the numbers. Thank you. So Judy, you are free to take lunch. And please join our meeting.
One more thing, 3 minutes. I'm speaking to others. Yes. The fact is so that they can get sugar from yes, from the best price class. They don't need sugar and pay a premium. And keep people the farm.
Also, that's So you get accommodation.
Right.
Yes.
So you.
Guys, you better go and get me lunch.
Ruth is here.
Oh, okay.
Would you like rice or bami? Suriname.
Rice. Yeah, I think I don't mind rice.
Yeah, and who's sitting here?
Jide is sitting there.
And
Kerry is sitting this other side.
Who?
Kerry, the Zanzibar.
Zanzibar.
Yeah, so it's only Kwasi, I don't know, not Kwasi. Maxwell, I don't know why he's sitting.
I will bring them also.
Okay.
confirm that now we can proceed with the meeting. So the next agenda on the notice is to confirm the minutes. So I believe the minutes were shared with the members. So I'd like to get a proposer and a seconder for the previous AGM minutes. Your name, please. Seconder, please. Sorry, your name? Harrison. On the next agenda is the report of the chairman. So I'll introduce Dr. Kakombe to present his report.
Good afternoon, members. I do not have a formal report because we have a combined CEO chairman report. So there'll be one report that our CEO will go through. But as I invite her to come and present the report, I want to first and foremost thank you for being our members and staying with us as members for the year. I also want to thank our hardworking secretariat, led by the CEO, for the good work they have done over that period. I want to welcome all the new members who've joined us within the year and hope that they feel we have served them and will continue to serve them. And I also want to thank our board that I work with that has been extremely supportive in carrying out the business of KHF. We meet in uncertain times in many ways. Uncertain because we are going through a season of political change, and I hope you are all ready to vote for your candidate of choice come August 9. And KHF and KEPSA are working together to ensure that the one thing that is very, very critical during that electoral process is in place, which is peace and safety and security of person and property. Because whatever the electoral outcome, countries, economies, people grow when there is peace and security of person and property. The human being has the ability to deal with everything else, except those two generally require that communities work together. So we are working through Mkenya Daima and other initiatives to ensure that the electoral climate and the post-electoral period does not disrupt the Kenyan economy. Because for those of you who are familiar with what happens, we have elections, the economy takes a hit, we have a big dip, and we literally have to dig ourselves out of a hole every 5 years. We want to get to the point where we do not have to get into a hole every 5 years. Instead, we have continued growth because that's how we are going to get continued economic growth and prosperity. We also meet in uncertain times because of the global situation, the war in Ukraine, what is happening to commodities, the shortage of Forex, and I'm sure many of our suppliers are affected. And on that too, we are trying to work through KEPSA to ensure that whatever can be done is done to A, stabilize the shilling, and B, have the dollars available. And if they are not readily available, then we prioritize sectors such as ours, where we need life-saving products. So that just like we did with COVID, we started vaccinating the most vulnerable. We do the same with foreign currency. We satisfy our most dire needs. And healthcare should be right up there as a priority. We meet in uncertain times because NHIF is still going through negotiations with the private sector to sign a new contract with new tariffs. And among the key things that has been a thorn in the flesh is dialysis. I told that that particular subject is almost done, and we are hoping by end of business today, there may be white smoke. We may not like everything that is in the contract, but it's a lot better than what was being offered when the hospital associations and the faith-based organizations came out and said they were not boarding because the contract was patently unfair and unsustainable. So hopefully when we get the new contract, we'll be in a better position to move forward as healthcare providers. And we're also in uncertain times because there's a court case affecting the NHIF, the new NHIF contributions that was brought about by FKE. We are monitoring and trying to ensure that it is resolved speedily, because if NHIF can't get the new money and private insurance doesn't know whether the money is going to NHIF or will stay with private insurance, then there will be greater uncertainty. And generally when there's uncertainty, human beings tend to stand back and watch and wait for things to become clearer before they commit. So such is the climate we are in. Such is the climate we are negotiating through. We intend to focus our energies, efforts, and resources in ensuring that the health sector has the space it needs and the resources it needs to operate and contribute to one of those 4 big ticket items for the country, because healthcare is among the 4 key pillars that are identified as being very, very important for the country. And on that, we need to congratulate ourselves because it was not always that way. At independence, we did say that we'll deal with ujinga, umaskini, na ugonjwa. Along the way, we forgot that there were 3 key pillars: education, health, and basically prosperity or economic growth. And it was relegated to, the back rooms. And it's now come back as one of the big 4. And we need to continue to work to keep it there, because that's the only way we can be assured that there is focus, that the policies that are made, the laws that are made, the regulations that are made provide for space for us to continue to thrive and grow. And with those remarks, I wish to invite Nyalita to give an account of, I talked about the future. She talked about both the future, the present, and the past. Karibu sana.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon once again, members. It's a pleasure to present to you the report of the past, the present, and how we're looking at the future. And the future is very bright for the Kenya Healthcare Federation. And as a start, I would urge you, for those of you who are not here during the presentation by Judy on the Global Compact, really it's a clarion call for everyone to join in and sign up to that, so that we commit to sustainable, responsible business, because that question now is starting more and more to be asked by the key stakeholders, because everybody believes that health should not be for profit, but yet it should be responsible business. So something very important, so that also we demonstrate our commitment to responsible business in health. So, ladies and gentlemen, change is indeed the only constant in life, as you know. In the year under review, the following the May 27th 2021 AGM, we welcomed a new board of directors led by our able chair, Dr. Kanyenje Gakombe, as the chairman. And the following directors held office at the close of the year, and also this is what is reflected in our audited accounts. So we have the chair as Dr. Gakombe, then we have Dr. Walla as a vice, she is with us online. Steve Maina, treasurer, with us online. We have Isaiah Okoth, who has given apologies. We have Daniela Munene was given apologies. We have Mr. Vinod Guptan, who is with us today. We have Dr. Francis Karanja, who's with us online. Then we have Dr. Linus Degwa, who is with us today. Dr. Walter Obita, who is with us also here today, and Dr. Anthony Jakodou, who I believe is with us online. So join me in appreciating KHF's immediate past chair, Dr. Amit Thaka, for his leadership under which the Federation formed stable, notable partnerships and that undertook numerous projects that led to the vibrance of the organization. I'd also like to thank, the immediate past board members also who retired at the same time as Dr. Amit, that is Jackie Kitulu, Faith Muigai, and Joyce Wanderi, for their service as board directors during the period 2015-2021. And they continue to be active members of the Health Federation. Under leadership and governance, as at the Kenya Healthcare Federation in 2021, we pulled together on the clarion call to build back better. Indeed, Kenya made tremendous progress in implementing its policies, advocacy agenda projects, partnerships, stakeholder engagements, and capacity building as outlined in the previous strategic plan of 2018-2021. So we really, as KHF, were very focused on that particular strategic plan. But now we are delighted also to let you know that we have formulated a 2022-2026 strategic plan, and which was also shared during the last CEO's forum, and with very clear focus areas, especially on the stakeholder engagement. Really, that is going to, be one of our main focus. And you have seen that, you continue to get a lot of a lot of communications around our engagements, but they have to be very strategic. We've already signed, we're in the process of analyzing an MOU with the French Healthcare Alliance, and I know a number of member organizations have signed up to join KHF leadership in a delegation that will be going to France in September to basically, sign an MOU about, corporate partnerships and engagements and how we can have exchange programs. And they are committed to bringing a delegation from France into Kenya during our next event, big event, which will be in May 2023, and which is basically around, bringing the region together to showcase the stuff that will, grow in business, investments, health, medical tourism, and so on and so forth. So we want to forge many more of those kind of partnerships with the foreign trade mission. Manufacturing, pharma manufacturing. So technology as well, very important that we go and see what is it that we can partner and really improve, or we can benefit or leverage in the interest of improved healthcare for our countries. So in the new strategic plan, this new strategic plan draws organizations' roadmap for the next 5 years. It includes strategic pillars that will enable KHF to build on its achievements and lessons learned while responding to the ever-changing operational environment. This new strategic plan, developed through in-depth consultations with members, the board, and the management, is a step forward in our commitment to keeping in pursuit of our mission to champion the interest of our stakeholders through transformational advocacy and support. In this new strategic plan, We shall be guided by the core values of accountability, collaboration, innovation, and agility. So we have updated our core values, we have updated our mission, we have updated our vision. So you'll be seeing a lot of that in our materials as well. We also managed to restructure the secretariat with clearer defined roles to serve our members best and deliver on the mandate. I'm sure you have been unfortunately overwhelmed by the amount of information we are sharing with you. But we have a very strong team that is behind, pretty young, but very, very, very motivated and very energized and really daring to go and, very innovative ideas. So please help me in really appreciating the team behind the Kenya Healthcare Federation. So our management team, including the committee leads and board members, also benefited from the capacity building forums, including a CAPSA-sponsored week-long training in Naivasha, focused on corporate governance and advocacy. The new strategic plan will institute capacity building forums for the leadership and the secretariat. We'll also see what capacity building or benefits we can have for and other initiatives we can have for our members. For example, I know for the health professionals, associations have requested for a special meeting for themselves. So that has been set up for the 25th of August, and is basically to really deep dive into what it is as professional associations, what is in it for them. But also, what I would also like to assure is that we're also in discussions with one of the trainers UNICAF, to really give, their promise, or not the promise, they will be able to provide up to 75% discount on postgraduate and some of the, I think, basic degrees for members affiliated to the Kenya Healthcare Federation. So you're a member of KHF, your employees will benefit from that discount. If you're, as a business organization, your members will also benefit, and your members will also benefit from that 75% discount. It was too good to be true, so we had to have a deep dive with them to understand, first of all, they're recognized by the College of Higher Education or University Education, so that was very important for us to ascertain, and they have partnerships with a couple of universities across, especially in UK. But we will provide more details as those ones evolve, and we're hoping that on the 25th of August, we will be now launching the MOU and also telling the professional associations, but also on during our next members meeting, which is on the 25th of July, we'll also be telling you more about that opportunity. But currently it is a work in progress, but we're progressing very well. So those are the kind of initiatives that we're looking at. Also looking at, partnering with our members on projects. You saw that we hosted together with the Strathmore Business School, the inaugural East Africa Health Expo 2022, and we are scheduled to hold the next one 1st to 6th of May 2023. And those are the kind of collaborations also. I know we have an MOU also with the smart applications. So thank you very much for that. We really need to bring that to life. So there is no limit on to how we can leverage the membership, either directly with KHF or even among yourselves. And also we are acting as a platform also to connect businesses to yourselves, but also, to introduce each other to yourself so that you can be able to, benefit from the platform that Kenya Healthcare Federation is. In terms of public-private dialogue and advocacy engagement, we're really highly, as Chairman has said, we're really plugged onto what KEPSA is doing. And on matters health, we can confirm to you that the chair, myself, and the vice chair are driving the agenda of health at the KEPSA level. And KEPSA does appreciate that indeed, I think we are one of the very vibrant sector boards, but also, behind the backdrop of COVID-19, then also, our visibility has also heightened, and we've had to really step up and fill that particular space, because if you don't take your space, then someone else will. Yeah. In terms of PPDs, so while physical meetings were limited in the past year, we quickly adopted the use of technology to support advocacy engagements and public-private dialogues amidst episodes of lockdown and restricted movements. One of the areas that we also need to strengthen, and we're going to strengthen, is our engagement with with Parliament, both houses of Parliament, and we're trying to see and how can we better engage that at all levels. Of course, we know at the speaker's level, through KEPSA, we are engaged, but then we need to be able to really be on the ground when bills are being formulated, not when we're being asked for memorandum of understanding. So when we call you for certain meetings at certain levels with the different groups within either Senate or the National Assembly, really would like you to honor that. But I must appreciate also the technical working groups, the committees. They've really done a wonderful job. We're due to have our next ministerial stakeholder forum. So the Secretariat has been in touch with the lead teams within the 6 committees that we have, just to populate that template that Chair presents to the CS Health ministerial stakeholder forum. So really to appreciate you, everyone, for your contribution on matters of public-private dialogue, among others. So we continue to engage the government, the Ministry of Health, government agencies through hybrid platforms, control physical meetings. We had consultative engagements with the CSO Health, Honorable Mutai Kagwe, where we discussed public-private collaborations in health. In June 2021, the board met with the PS Health, Susan Mochache. I think we need to do a follow-up meeting, because one of the challenges she posed to us is that we need to engage more. We need to engage more. We need to engage the different leadership of the ministry a lot more. We also met with the Director General for Health, and at this step, I want to inform you that we will be having our next CEOs Forum. And I know I'm taking the board by surprise on this one. Very soon, I think it should be 14th of July, and we have invited the Director General to be our chief guest. Alongside him, we've also requested the CEO of NHIF, the management trustee of the compensation fund, the PCF, as well as the Insurance Regulatory Authority, to join into that meeting, because following the incident of Resolution Health or Resolution Insurance, that is a critical thing. That's a critical, pertinent topic that we must discuss in this particular forum. So we're waiting for them to confirm. The letters went in like a week ago, so we will follow up on that. Of course, in the event that we find ourselves alone, as always, we will discuss the topical matters, since we are dealing with the sector leaders that really need to focus on what are the things that we need to prioritize. Of course, also healthcare financing. And at this stage, also, just to let you know, we have a confirmed meeting between the NHIF team and the Healthcare Financing Committee, and the board representatives, Dr. Walter Obita Njoki is the chair of that committee, on the 5th of July. That's Tuesday next week. So for those of you who are in the Health Financing Committee, please ensure that you participate. And also for the chairs or CEOs of the various organizations, please make sure that your organization is represented. It always helps, as we have seen with the PCF and IRA, when we have someone who's heavily affected and impacted by the topical issue that is under discussion, for them to actually tell their story. So that's very important that we do that. So we also had meetings, of course, with Kas Rashid, several occasions, where we discussed, again, matters of public-private engagements, especially on the area of COVID-19, and how we can collaborate more with the Ministry of Health. And they actually challenged us to propose areas of partnership and collaboration that, as private sector, we can participate in. So the last ministerial stakeholder forum we held was in March this year. So we hold them every quarter. So the next one is due. The ministry has been extremely busy, as you have seen, from their various engagements. So most probably they've actually responded and told us that they will let us know when the next date for an MSF is open. So it's likely to be any time within the month of July. And we'll give you a briefing on how that goes. It's very important to continue to honor, to participate in those MSFs, because whatever is not resolved within the ministerial stakeholder forum is what gets escalated through KEPSA to the other platforms, the cabinet meetings, or the presidential the president. But the good thing also is that we have very good responses and action on the issues that we raise. But so the one for the healthcare financing and resolution health, I think that one we really need to make sure that within the next 2 months, and I know the chair is on top of it in terms of strategic approach on how beyond, the engagements, how else can we have that matter resolved for the benefit of the members who are affected. So we hope in the next 2 months, at least we should have found some breakthrough in either of the way. But hopefully on July 14th, we'll get to hear more. Yeah. What is also good is that in the meetings with the PCF and the IRA, they actually encouraged us to be inviting them for meetings. We've never done it, but now we will start doing it. Also in terms of, I know I'm talking back and forth, but I hope you're following me, is also on the matters of pharmaceutical manufacturing. I know it was brought up by the Dr. Bao from the PSK. That also we are engaging, especially at the level of the Ministry of Trade, but more important, also very strategic, beyond at KEPSA level, how can that be realized and what needs to be done? I will not be able to talk a lot on that because it's still, work in progress. But there's a lot of interest, as you all know, in the manufacturing. So we don't approach it in a coordinated manner. In my opinion, it will fall apart. So that's for me as Kenya Healthcare Federation, as KEPSA, we really need to also make sure that we are at the forefront of that discussion. So further, we have independently engaged government agencies, as I've said. Of course, the most difficult one has been the Kenya Medical Laboratory Technicians and Technologists Board. But I can assure you that we have very strong support from the ministry leadership in terms of, the pain points. And we see that a lot of those pain points tend to be managed in one way or another. But we are hoping to, in the next MSF, we will be able to get a more comprehensive feedback on where is that at. So for members, I urge you, as you continue to experience this, please, and I know we have some of our members like, Penda Health is very strong in giving us feedback on the pain points. And when we call meetings, they're there. I know for the dialysis topic, people like Africa Health Network, very strong on that. So we encourage you to really, because it's until we have that concrete evidence, that's the only way we can be able to have we can build a case. And once you have case and facts, then you're able to be listened to. So really, I wish to thank all the members that have been at the forefront. Please continue to share your information. And then what we do at KHF in most of the case, and we bundle it together, because sometimes also when you follow up on your case as an independent organization, your voice is just one. But when we bring it together as KHF, and I can assure you we do it also at the level of KEPSA, then it becomes a very strong voice, and it cannot be ignored. But on the other hand, we have very good goodwill with the public sector, with the Ministry of Health, and at KEPSA level, at the higher levels as well. So we continue to strive to voice our ideas and concerns in health policy through active participation in public policy engagements by Parliament. In the year under review, we have given our feedback on several bills and policies that you've seen. The Health Acts Amendment Bill, very important. That one is on abeyance, so we cannot afford to sleep. Please, I urge each and every one of you to really scrutinize it. The business member organizations, your KMA, PSK, KDA, and others, please look at it and make sure that even individually you prepare your memoranda, because anything can happen between now and the next and the 9th, and the Parliament can be recalled to look into that. That's number one. Number two, also at our level, also because we are also getting a lot of support from KEPSA legal team, we're also preparing a write-up, but it is also your input that will inform the final document that goes from KHF to the Senate, because now the bill is at Senate level. Yeah. We know, the radiographers bill. I'm not sure how that where it is at now, but we were able to provide our input. And also there was a workshop where we managed to get a representative, and that's another place I'd like to, request for your support. We get a lot of meetings being called by the Ministry of Health, different departments at the same time. And our approach is always to, to go through the committees. But you find, and understandably so, it's difficult for most cases for someone to spend more than a day out of their workspace. So it's important that if there is a way within your, those members you have assigned in the different committees, when we call on them, they volunteer and go and represent KHF, it will be very, very important. But I must say that with the team that we have with the technical team that we have within KHF now, we're able to actually have them represent KHF alongside the alongside the committee member. So at least we have done something that is able to help us sustain that engagement, because I can tell you, I think yes, between this week there were like 5 of them. Yeah, there's already a team which is also standing in for us in Windsor at the moment. Next week, I think there are 3 meetings that are happening, and you can imagine there's NASCOP, there's ICT, there's everything. So really, your support is very much appreciated. And if you can manage like ARC, and I must thank Africa Resource Center, they seconded technical staff to the KHF for 6 months, and that really helped us run a program until the conclusion of the. So it's a call also to our members. If you can second the staff to the Kenya Healthcare Federation, really appreciate. I know Farm Access has done that when we have special projects running. That is something that we really, really, really appreciate, because as you realize and appreciate, we run primarily on membership fees, which is not sufficient. But we are very confident also with the team that we have. We will probably, and in partnership with 1 or 2 other members, we will start now getting more and more high-level, very high-value projects that will be able to see us, achieve a lot more and create a lot of capacity within the organization. So trade missions, I mentioned, that's going to be a priority for us, because then we have to really align ourselves and what is happening in the globe, and build on that from a local perspective to build our capacity, technical transfer, skills transfer, and so on and so forth. So we have been with the French trade mission, Australian, the US. I know Vinod is very strong on the US one. He's our ambassador there for KHF. And by the way, the other thing is that when some of these communications, and I know it's a lot, when the trade missions ask us to sign up for something, there's something they're thinking about it, and they can see the value proposition. That's how the French one came up. And you can see now, when we went and presented, they saw the value the KHF brings, and they connected us with the French Healthcare Alliance. Now, imagine, that times how many trade missions that there are, and what that will mean to the individual organizations like yourselves, because it means you have an opportunity to have a local technical representation for one of those organizations that may want to, put up in Kenya, for example, or a hospital, or academia, and so on and so forth. So opportunities will be there, but we have to stay engaged. But also it's image and value proposition for KHF, which we cannot underestimate. So we are looking to expand this portfolio, foster partnerships with foreign trade missions to increase bilateral health partnerships between Kenya and other countries. Partnerships and projects, I'll go through this very quickly. So during COVID 2021, we had donation from Stanbic. We managed to donate PPEs to especially members of the Rural Hospital Association of Kenya, and also the faith-based organizations. We also, were able to work, and this continues, albeit in a low scale, for Wheels for Life. And following this, I'm pleased to say that also, the organization behind this is Wheels for Life. They're also now members of Kenya Healthcare Federation, and the ambulance provider, which is Flair, or yes, under Caitlin, they also just joined Kenya Healthcare Federation, because I mean, and these are some of the things, once you work with KHF, once other partners work with KHF, then you get to see what kind of value proposition we have. And it's at the end of the day, it's just enriching the pot that is within Kenya Healthcare Federation. So in 2021, also we partnered with Malteser International AMREF, and this was sponsored by the the German government. And this is a project I was telling you that through Africa Resource Center, one of our members, we were able to get a technical person to run with the project until the end of the life of the project. Between 2020 and 2021, in collaboration with the East African Healthcare Federation, and so we had a Bill and Melinda Gates funded project that was running across the 6 countries in the region, and the lead implementer for this was Kenya Healthcare Federation. Again, the kind of stuff that we can do. And at this stage, I also want to remind you that in September 28th to 30th, we have our next East African Healthcare Federation conference, which will be held in Uganda, Kampala. Please plug in so that we can also support the regional federation. By supporting also, you also get your regional networks. I know a lot of your organizations have a footprint within the region, including Uganda. We're trying to, including Ethiopia, we're also bringing on board DR Congo, courtesy of the World Bank, and also Somalia, so that they can also form their own country federations and also join the East African Healthcare Federation. So we're expecting them to come on to be present at the what do you call it, at the conference. Yeah, so this project was purely around COVID-19 response and coordinations, among other things. And also a lot of training for capacity building for our members. I know some of our members, especially on the laboratory side, benefited from this. In January 2022, now, so this year now, we partnered with the IFC to launch the Africa Medical Equipment Facility, and I'm sure you have seen this in our communication. Which also followed a 2-day capacity training. We are expecting that this will be repeated. The training will be repeated before the end of the year. We wanted to do it in July, but of course, international organizations, in view of the fact that we are going into elections, there has been a no-fly. You cannot get into it's for their own, their own policies. So we'll probably be doing it much later, around November or thereabouts. So for those of you who would, we will be giving a call at the appropriate time for you guys to sign up. So watch out for the information that will come from our secretariat. Yeah. In March 2022, we partnered with Medtronic Clubs to hold a high-level roundtable, really around partnerships and as far as non-communicable diseases are concerned, and working at the community level. Yeah. So we continue to do a lot of these partnerships. We continue to get engaged, and so on and so forth. So in terms of members' engagement, what is new this which was started this year is the CEOs Forum. So we are requesting you to sign up for the next one, and the announcement will be coming in maybe either tomorrow or beginning of next week. In terms of the venue, which will be Serena, it will be a breakfast meeting. The sponsors will be AMREF, Flying Doctors, and we are looking for one more sponsor, so please feel free to join in. And the reason we sponsor, we look for sponsors is, again, that's for sustainability purposes. So we're looking forward to hosting you all during that. Of course, during the year, you've had a lot of, you remember the Heroes celebration event that we had in partnership with Sagifam and Imperial Life Sciences for Dr. Vijay Maini. So we're happy to host those kind of events for members as well. And then also recently the East Africa Health Expo. And this is very important because, and something else that will be coming up very soon is together with the Ministry of Health, we have Ministry of Health and COG organizing the Kenya Health Convention. So during this month, I think it should be around 13th through 14th of July. So once the communication comes to us, then we'll be able to share with you guys. So make sure you watch out for that. If you remember, we also did the call out for best practices, submission of best practices. Important that we've got a lot of submissions from private sector, and we're looking forward to having those ones celebrated as well. So the meeting will also be an awards meeting for the best practices. And I'm hoping that some of our members will be able to win a couple of awards. It will be officiated. The plan is to be officiated by His Excellency the President as they mark, look back at the 10 years of devolution, the achievements and so on and so forth. So it's very important for us to participate. Yeah. So membership growth, very interesting. You can see that. I hope yes. So since 2015, we've grown 166 times percent. But I think the biggest growth will come in this year because we have a lot of, one of the things in the strategic plan is also as part of the resource mobilization is one, but also we're looking at really, we have not been able to, and that's a challenge we're given by the facilitator of the strategic plan. We've barely scratched the surface of who can be a member of Kenya Healthcare Federation. And I know the board is also looking at also the vetting mechanisms for membership as well. But we expect that with the strategies that we're putting in place, we should be able to see a huge growth by the end of the year. Yeah. And then enhance visibility through communication. Again, you have seen that. Please, when it is too much, tell us. We do get feedback. We appreciate that. And when we get feedback, we moderate it accordingly. But of course, if it's new news, we'll always be able to tell you. Yeah. So you can see how in terms of Facebook followers trends from last year to now. Yeah. Then you have LinkedIn. And I like the figures on LinkedIn because LinkedIn tends to be, I mean, it's perceived and I think it's very professional. So we're happy that, this has gone up. This is, of course, led by our young man, Edwin, who has been very instrumental also in taking up the communication piece and also in terms of Facebook. So if you see anything untoward or anything good, please give us feedback. We really appreciate, yeah? So looking into the future, our advocacy and partnership engagements with government agencies, development partners, and individual corporates have significantly impacted many health policies, health services, and the lives of many Kenyans in the country. In the coming year, we look to expand this engagement and partnership to higher levels that cross our national borders. Indeed, the COVID-19 pandemic demonstrated that cooperation beyond our local borders is necessary for an efficient health system. On behalf of KHF management, on behalf of the chairman and his board, I'd like to express my gratitude to the staff at the Secretariat, the KHF members, and all our partners for our unwavering and continued support over the years. Our vision to become the leading partnership organization leading membership organization advocating for and supporting health in Kenya will only be achieved through through your commitment. So thank you very much, and I want to take it back to our company secretary, Sharon.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nyalita. I'd like to get a proposer for the chairman and the CEO's report. Yeah, they are. Yes. There's a seconder. The next agenda is the report from the auditors. So I'd like to introduce the auditors.
Good afternoon, members. So my name is Evelyn Kanjagwa. I'm a partner at Ronald's LLP. We are your auditors. I have pleasure to present to you the financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2021. So I'm hoping there's a copy. Yeah? Okay. Okay, so on page number 1 is the Federation information, where we have a listing of the directors who held office during the year. And so we have indicated the appointment dates there. The Chief Executive Officer, members who resigned during the year. We bank with Stanbic Bank. The principal office is indicated there, and the auditor, Ronald LLP. Page number 2, the director's report. So the registration and incorporation, KHF is registered in Kenya under the Companies Act. It is a private company limited by guarantee. The principal activity, it engages the government and relevant stakeholders towards achieving quality healthcare through enabling policies that maximize the contribution of the private sector. We look at the results on page number 7. The executive committee is listed on page number 1. The independent auditor is expressing willingness to continue in office. Page number 3, statement of directors' responsibilities. It is the responsibility of the board of directors to prepare the financial statements that we are looking through today. It needs to be true and fair. The board is also required to safeguard the assets of the federation. In the preparation of the financial accounts, we're using the applicable IFRSs and the gaps. And there is the going concern statement, the second last paragraph, that nothing has come to the attention of the board of directors to indicate that the federation will not remain a going concern for at least the next 12 months from the date of this statement. Page 4, 5, and 6 is the auditor's report. I will read through that once we do an overview of the activities and the financial position of the federation. So page number 7, kindly. Okay. So the statement of financial activities, or what was referred to the P&L statement. Ordinary subscription, there was a slight increase from 6.6 in 2020 to 6.9 million in 2021. We have a project income of 34.5 million, which is an increase from what we had in 2020 of 25.6. But as you can see, there are some projects that came to a closure in 2021. Nevertheless, we've had Wheels for Life, for instance, having a big increase during the year of 2021. Project expenditure, of course, it's matched to the project income that we received during the year. So in total, we had 33.7 million in regards to the project expenditure. So we had a surplus for a program of 813,536. We have expenditure of 6.4. So the surplus before taxation is 528,552. And then we close off at 529,201, given that taxation credit that is there of 649. Page number 8, statement of financial position. We have a deferred tax computation of 165,724. So I'll just be giving you the breakdown of some of those. So we only had a movement in that year, that is the charge for the year. Property and equipment of 43,157. So during the year, we had no additions. So basically it's the opening balances that were there in 2020, subjected to the depreciation charge, so that then we have a net book value of 43,157. Current assets, accounts and other receivables. So during the year, we had accounts receivables of 3 million, which essentially comprised of the MSP project receivables and the subscription receivables. That is the 3 million there. Then deposits and prepayments of 167,675, giving us that total of the accounts and other receivables of 3.2 million. Cash and cash equivalents, that's the cash and bank balances. We have a couple of accounts that, so these are balances at the close of the year. I'm just referring to the notes, the financial statements. So we have a fixed deposit and a main account, the PAF account, Funzo account, dollar account, and the cash at hand. So in total, the cash and cash equivalents that we had in bank was 4.7 million. So our total assets during the year of 2021 were at 8,158,995. The total assets are supported by the fund balances and the current liabilities. So for the general fund balance, this is usually an account where we have the surpluses and deficits over the years that is usually now put in this account. So at the close of the year, it was 5 million, or rather 3 million, and that the movement is usually shown on a different page. And then the accounts and other payables, that's the current liabilities, were at 5 million. So during the year, we had trade payables of 1.5. We had prepaid subscriptions also. We had an advance donor deposit and a provision for some bad debts. So the total was is the 5 million there. We have a tax payable of 8,666. So our balance sheet, that is a statement of financial position, closes off at the 8,158,395. Page 9 and subsequent pages are notes to the page number 7 and 6, page 7 and 8 rather. So like the page 9 is the statement of treasuries in fund balances where we have our funds. So any surplus we make, any deficits we make is usually in this page for the statement of changes in fund balances. Page number 10, the cash flow statement. So it's the payments we make out and the money we receive. So at the close of the year, that at the end of the year is what sits in our bank as a cash and cash equivalent of the 4.7. Page 11, 12 and 13 are the accounting policies that have guided in the preparation of the financial statements we are looking at. And also page 14. So page 15 is the notes to the, we have that movement of the deferred tax that we spoke about in the statement of financial position. Page 16 showing the movement of the property and equipment. So it's the note I was referring to in regards to our property and equipment, and I mentioned we had no additions during the year. If you refer to the section of 2021. Page 17 is the disclosure notes of the accounts and other receivables, which I've looked at, cash and cash equivalents, the accounts and other payables, and the movement of the tax payable and the advance donor deposits that are reflected in the accounts and other payables. Page 8. So subsequent pages are appendices that shows a detailed analysis of the project income and project expenditure that we received during the year. So I will take you to the opinion page on page number 4, kindly. Okay. So this is unqualified opinion. So we are giving a true and fair view of the state of the Federation's financial affairs. So we have audited the financial statements of Kenya Healthcare Federation, which comprise the statement of financial position as at 31st December 2021, the statement of financial activities, the statement of changes in fund balances, and statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and a summary of the significant accounting policies and other explanatory notes. In our opinion, the financial statements give a true and fair view of the state of the Federation's financial affairs as at 31st December 2021, the results of its operations and cash flows for the year then ended, in accordance with applicable IFRS gaps and the requirements of the Kenya Companies Act of 2015. We conducted our audit in accordance with the international standards on auditing. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities in this report. We are independent of the Federation in accordance with the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants of Ethics for Professional Accountants and other independence requirements applicable to performing audits of financial statements in Kenya. So we believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis of opinion. Key audit matter where we need to report to members where there were any matters of most significance in the course of the audit. We wish to report no such significant matter that we would want to draw attention of the members. The director's responsibilities, they are required to ensure that the financial statements we are going through is fair, true and fair. So page 5, the auditor's responsibilities is to express an opinion on the financial statements. And of course, as we express an opinion, we consider and we identify and assess the risks of material misstatements of the financial statements. We also obtain an understanding of the internal control relevant to the audit. We also evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of the accounting estimates. We also check the going concern that is used as an assumption by the director in preparation of the financial statements. We also evaluate the overall presentation structure and content of the financial statements. Page number 6 on other legal and regulatory requirements as required by the Kenya Companies Act of 2015 and based on our audit. We have obtained all the information and explanations which to the best of our knowledge and believe were necessary for the purposes of our audit. In our opinion, proper accounting records have been kept by the Federation so far as appears from our examination of those books, and the Federation's statement of financial position is in agreement with the books of accounts. So we can call the company secretary. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to get a proposer for the auditor's report. A proposer for the auditor's report. Proposer, your name, please. Elizabeth. A seconder. Okay. Again, another proposer for the financial statements for the year ended 2021. There are two. We have the auditor's report and the financial statements. Yeah, but they were separated on the notice and on the agenda. They are presented as two different items. Yes. So a proposal for the financial statements. Jack Odwell, a seconder. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Your name, please? Henry, okay. A seconder? Okay, thank you. So I'd like to request the auditors to please step out. Okay. Yeah. I believe there are no questions on the report and the financial statements. So the auditors, please. So the next is appointment of auditors. That's why I asked them to leave. So the board, the members will either decide to reappoint the existing auditors to continue or appoint new auditors for the company. Yes. Yep. Okay, that's the board's proposal. So I'd like a proposal from the members and a second as well. Accepting the Ronalds to remain as the company's auditors. Your name, please? Dennis. A seconder? Your name? Kevin. So the next on the agenda is to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. Members to give the directors the authority to fix the remuneration for the auditors. So on that as well, I like if a proposer and a seconder for the same. Odwar. Okay, thank you. A seconder, please. Well. So I believe there are no any other business that were presented to us. So there being no any other business, I'd like to call the AGM for the year 2022 for Kenya Healthcare Federation to an end at this moment. Thank you very much.
Please help me appreciate our company secretary, represented by Sharon, for the good work they've done in running us through the agenda. We have finished before 4 p.m., which is great. And also for the auditors, they've done a great job. So thank you very much for that. And also for, well, I think those are the two main people who are driving today. Of course, our treasurer, Mr. Steve, who is online, going through the process with the secretariat ourselves. And of course, we have the finance committee. So without further ado, I know Isaiah had given an apology. So I want to call upon a board member to volunteer to do a vote of thanks. Vinod.
So thank you for this opportunity. Good evening or good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My role is pretty straightforward, just to thank you all for attending this AGM and session that we had earlier on by Global Compact. We look forward to having you all in our next meeting, which Anastasia had mentioned is probably going to be in the next CEO's forum. And we hope to continue having stronger engagement with you, together with other engagements that we'll be having when we invite other members from other organizations. So thank you very much, and I wish you all a pleasant and fruitful evening. Thank you very much.